Hi, I'm Erin Marcus. Welcome to the Ready Yet podcast. We're excited to bring you more than 100 episodes of interviews and insights designed to help entrepreneurs get the financial and emotional freedom they need in order to build a business and a life they're proud of. All right. Welcome to this episode of the Ready Yet podcast. And I believe I said this to you when you reached out to me. My guest today, Kris Ward, wins the absolute award for most interesting LinkedIn message. And in a world full of increasing AI, where everybody sounds the same, I appreciate, love, respect the time that you took to connect as a human and to be an individual. And I know that's not completely what our topic is going to be today, but for someone with a marketing background, yay you, it's not hard to be human instead of a robot, right? So before we get into our conversation for everybody, tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, Kris Ward, I help entrepreneurs stop working so hard. And my clients say they get 25 hours back a week within the first month of working with us. And we help you with what we call your team, your time, and your toolkits.
Love it. This is what you do so well, in addition to what it is that you do. And this is where I see so many people have challenges. You very easily describe what you do, the benefit to the client. It's not complicated. It doesn't have to be fancy. This is who I am. This is the outcome I can offer you. And I think it does go along, because if you think about it, the convoluted, complicated problem that people have in describing what they do, which is where I help people, is the same convoluted, complicated problem they have in actually doing the things that they do, which is where you come in, right?
Yeah. First of all, flattery will get you everywhere, Erin. Hello, I got nothing but time for you if you're going to say nice things about me. Come on, right? But yeah, I think what your point is, when I'm talking to people about the efficiencies or inefficiencies in their business, that transcends all elements, right? Let's get you from A to B as fast as we can so that you have more time to stay in your zone of genius, so that you can make more money in less time, have a bigger impact, and do what you're meant to do instead of all the constant interruptions.
It's so true. And my new phrase I've dared a couple of my clients is to take a blowtorch to their to-do list.
Oh, I love you.
Right, you know, like not even just your pen, but a freaking blowtorch.
I say burn your to-do list. So I've been saying that for years, because a to-do list is a percolating list of emergencies, right? And no successful person, no captain of industry, no millionaire runs their business or their day or any aspect of their life off a to-do list, right? That does not happen. It's not in chronological order. You can't reassign it. It doesn't tell you, you cherry pick, oh, I've got 10 things on my list, so here's 2, get those off. Those are the ones that took 2 minutes. Like, you can't strategize, you can't scale, you can't do anything. So it's really, think of it if you went to IKEA or you bought some table you had to put together, and at the end you get all these nuts and bolts left over. That's what a to-do list is. It's a bunch of leftover nuts and bolts, and you're like, I don't know where these go. I'll deal with that later, but that's dangerous, right?
And it creates more problems than it solves. I have a list. I do have a list, but the way that I use that list is, these are the random things that I have to do, but then there's the block on my calendar to do them.
Yeah.
Sometimes the list is actually on the block.
So what I talk about is, we deal with your team, your time, and your toolkit. So first off, I would say that 90% of people don't know how to use their calendar effectively, and that's a problem. All right. That's a big deal. So what they look at their calendar as a memo board or a dumping place, or they stuff to do things in between assigned calls. Like, oh, I have to meet with Erin now. That's on my calendar. And then you get off the calendar and off the call, and you just run around trying to get busy work done. And I've had people say to me, Kris, I do that every day. I don't need to remember it. This is not a memo board. That would be like saying, oh, my car payment comes out every month, but because it comes out every month, I don't count it. The money is gone. So you do have to put your own work on the calendar, because you may be stumbling into the day thinking you have 8 hours and you only have 5. And
Right.
so right there, the math is off. So then when you are working with what I call your team, and a team is a philosophy, not a number, you can have a team of one.
Mhm.
So we find, hire, and onboard virtual assistants for our clients. And then you're hitting the floor running behind the 8 ball, trying to catch up, dumping stuff on this poor assistant in a like spray of panic. And then you just spread the chaos, because adding more people to chaos does not create calm, because
Okay.
right from the beginning, you've got issues with the calendar. Then you're using a to-do list, which instead of what we call our signature super toolkits, which means that you constantly can just do something, duplicate it. It's effective. There's no human subject to human error. There's no missteps. You've got a super toolkit. You follow it. Boom. It eliminates all to-do lists. My clients don't have to-do lists. They don't need them. They've got the super toolkits. And then you really can start to lean in to that zone of genius where your clients are paying you to be, which is where the real revenue is.
And one of the things that happens, it's very interesting to me, because I know you and I were chatting before about what we really want people to know is that the outcome of this situation is that you're killing your income. But the interesting thing that I see is that when most people have a revenue problem, they throw a marketing tactic at it. And marketing tactics are not the solution to every business problem you have.
No, think about it like this. Think about it if you were a courier. Okay, so I'm a courier and I'm going to deliver packages, and I hop in my car and I drive a package to location A and I give it to a person. If that's the plan and I get the package, it's all pre-labeled, it's all good, and they give me a list and say, here's all the packages you have to deliver today. Boom, excellent, no problem. So let's say, I don't know, I can deliver 15 packages in a day. Let's say I work for another, and I get paid per package. Like every package I get on time, I get a $5 bonus. Now, if I work for another organization where I have to print out the label and I have to put the address in, and then I have to check on the map where it is and organize, okay, I'll go that one first and that one second. Do you think I'm going to get the same packages delivered that day? No, because I've got all that admin work to do. So I might get 7 out. That's understandable. Even if I'm good at printing the labels, even if I'm good at sussing it out on the map, these are 2 or 3 different steps that I have to take before I can even deliver it. It eats up time and brain power. So now I'm not focused on that. And that's what happens. That's what people are doing with their business. They're like, oh yeah, I just got to do this thing here and this thing there. And I would say, even if you're a brain surgeon, there's always pre and post work that someone can relieve you from, because you need to be in that lane where people are paying you for your expertise. And not only is that where the revenue is, but also what you're trying to do, like when you try to hire and onboard a virtual assistant, and now you're doing it because you need help, it's a whole career on its own. So it's like me saying, oh, in between me doing all my activities in the day, Erin, I'm just going to throw together some marketing strategies. I can't stick that in amongst all the other things I'm doing in my zone of genius. It's a whole nother career. That's what people don't get.
And as I'm listening to you, I said, you know what I see that it'd be interesting to see how you see it manifest is one of the reasons, first of all, there's the knowledge, right? People don't know how to do this. That's totally fair, right? There's the knowledge. But one of the things I say to people a lot is when you're trying to grow your business, if you're going from me to we, if you're really trying to go from solopreneur to business owner, it's not more work, it's scarier work, right? You don't have to do more work, you have to do scarier work. And I watch people hide in the work.
Yeah.
They hide in the busy work. I
Yeah.
can't go do the thing that scares me because my subconscious is justifying. So I'm curious. I love working, the people I work with that I absolutely love. It's if they can just grab onto this a little bit, they take off with it, right? So where do you see resistance to this? And how can somebody, like, here's the deal. I want people to reach out to you. I want them to buy your book. I want them to hire you to do all these things. That's great. That's the how-to. That's phenomenal. If someone were listening right now and they're hearing their inner self, stop them from taking any of that action. How do you see this manifest? And what do you tell people to get past it a little bit.
Yeah. So one of the things that break my heart is there is this concept that it's all character flaws. Oh, if I was more organized. Oh, if I was more disciplined. And first of all, discipline erodes the battery. And also there's several stages to business. So there's startup, and then you get all excited when you get through the, oh my gosh, like I had nothing and I got the website up and I got a few clients. And so then you get this false sense of empowerment, because what got you here will not get you there. So you went from startup and you did all these insurmountable things and you stayed in business more than 5 years. So then you think that was the hardest part of the climb. So why can't I get to the next stage? So you think it's just a matter of being even a little bit more organized. And it's not, it's a whole new skill set, guaranteed. And I would also argue that being organized is a deficit, because then you just reorganize yourself. Right.
If you think that's the key, you'll just keep doing that and not actually get anywhere.
So here's a quick example. Someone was referred to me, and I'm not saying it's okay, but this does happen sometimes. People will say, oh my gosh, I need to meet with you, strategy call, I need your help. So I showed up, she missed the appointment. It's happened more than once. That's why they need me. Their hair's on fire. They're running around like a crazy person. So then I'm like, okay, no problem. I knew who the referral was. Went to meet with her the second time. And then she didn't show up. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Who's the fool? I'm out. So she begged me, please, Kris, I need your help. I'm so sorry. I guarantee I'll show up this time. Please. I'm like, whatever. Okay, no problem. So I show up. So here is this client. She says, and I didn't know this at the time, she was working insane hours, like 100 hours a week.
Oh my God.
She was having to take medication at night to sleep because her adrenaline and her cortisol was so out of whack. And she said, you don't understand. There's just too much work to do. That's another thing I hear all the time. You don't get it. It's just too much work to do. Now, her job, her business was she helped companies of $5 and $10 million get set up to sell with their systems. So she said, I don't know how you're going to help me, because I help them with their systems. There's just too much work to do. So I said, I've never failed yet. That's what we do. So
that's what I know how to do.
This is what we do. So here we are. So I start working with her, and I got clippings that's on LinkedIn. It's not even a rehearsed testimonial, it's just from our sessions. She would say that her income went up 4 times of what it was. Her hours went down to 1/5. The virtual assistant that we found hired and on board for her, which we do, and we just do that to get to the real work. We're not an agency. We don't take a cut of it. It's not where we
stops the bleeding long enough.
It stops the bleeding. We find you somebody to stop the bleeding so we can get to the real work, which is the Super Toolkits, our signature program, Super Toolkits. Within the year, she went to Costa Rica for a month with no Wi-Fi, and that virtual assistant ran the business. So I'm here to tell you, you think it's about getting time back. You think it's about being more productive and getting more done. You think it's all these things, but the reality is it is where your income is. You are so constantly interrupted by this busy work that it's like my birthday is approaching, and it reminded me, one year I was talked into, they were like, oh, we should have a birthday party for you, blah, 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 right? My family. And I was like, all right. And then I decided the last minute we would have it at my house because we had a pool at the time. And I thought I'm the common denominator. So all these people who they're not in each other's worlds won't be at one friend's house over the other. They'll be at my house where they know. Fine. The point of this story was, it was the dumbest thing I had ever done, because I could not be the host and the guest at the same time. Every time I sat down with someone, I'd go to sit down with you, Erin, for 2 seconds. Say, oh my gosh. And then you gave me a present. And somebody said, hey, do you know where the bowls are? Oh, I'll get that for you. I know where that is. I never made my way back to people like you and finished the conversation. It just never happened. I didn't get to see anybody. They didn't know each other. And I was the common denominator. It was just constant interruptitis, right? And that's what you do with your business when you do all that admin work. It's just constantly you're interrupted. And the sad thing is you have no idea about the income you're missing out on. And you keep thinking, once I get past this next thing, that's the problem.
And it's such a huge point. I see that as well. And I get it. I have it. My brain works the same way. I've been there. I am there. I get it. You go through they say new level, new devil. I say new level, same devil, different outfit, right? We all go through this. But it's thinking that I'll solve it once I have the money to solve it, when you'll never get the money if you don't solve the problem.
No, I call it the 3 Ds. damaging overhead, delayed income, diminished opportunity. So damaging overhead, any time that you're spending on the busy work, on the admin work, the web of admin, let's say for simplicity's sake, Erin, that you could sell a package for $100. So when you are busy doing that work, then you're not bringing in that package for $100.
Right.
Now, what is that going to look like when that person, that client could have referred you to one other person, right? So you are now billing your agency $100 per package because the money you're not bringing in is really what you're billing your business. Then delayed income. What does it cost you when you've got business in June that you could have had in January? That's huge. That's 6 months there, right? And then the most painful of it all is diminished opportunity. When someone says, oh my gosh, Erin, I didn't know you did that. I just locked in with somebody else, and the lifetime value of that customer. So damaged overhead, delayed income, diminished opportunity. You are the bottleneck in your business, and you are costing yourself finances and limitations, and you're the choking point like you have no idea. You're measuring time because you don't have the capability or the instruments to see how much money you're losing.
It's the thing that the phrase that I use to talk about this also is business owner mindset.
Yeah.
And so there's things I say all the time, there's things from your corporate experience and your jobs that will kill you as an entrepreneur. But there's also some really important lessons. And to me, work ethic was one of them, right? I can tell when I've worked with corporate executives, they show up they work the day, right? They work the day. And the other thing is delegation.
Okay.
The other thing that is fantastic about people with corporate experience is they understand they should be doing what they're supposed to be doing, and other people should be doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I said, if back when I was in corporate, if I would have gone into the marketing department and started futzing with the website, I would have been chased out with pitchforks and torches. Why would I do it now? And it's really talking about not just recognizing that there's a different way and there's a different way that's possible and beneficial, but what you're talking about is this is how a business is run, as opposed to a person whose self-identity is, I'm over here trying to do a thing.
Yeah. You bring up some really good points. First of all, I would encourage you to take our quiz. We've got this quiz. Check out free gift, free FRE, gift, GIFT from Kris, KRIS.com, free gift from Kris.com. And in there, we have found that after working with so many entrepreneurs that they tend to fall into one of 5 categories, right? And so it'd be really interesting. I know I'm a recovering Rushaholic. And so it will be interesting to help. And it's quick, it's easy. It takes a couple seconds and just get customized results. And that also will give you a lot of information. To your point about the corporate world, there are some really bad things that we've been institutionalized with the corporate world. And I understand what you're saying about delegation, but I am going to pick on that just a little bit. To me, delegation is a lateral move, and the work still comes through you. Because if you were in a company right now, Erin, and they said, Erin, you are so great at sales, we're going to make you head of sales. What would happen then is you would get a sales team and you would likely stop doing sales and you would be managing the sales team. We can't do that as entrepreneurs. We want more time to do what we want to do, not less. So the way we have it set up is we have what we call a win team. So what is next? So you can get to what is next. And it's based on not only just how we communicate in our daily scrums and our super toolkits, our signature program. That changes everything because the delegating takes up time, as well as those SOPs that you rejected, the standard operating procedures. They were traditionally not written by the end user. They were there to cover liability, and they're muddled in with training, and they're hard to make and time consuming. Our signature super toolkits, the real big difference is the ease of use and how quickly they are to make and to edit, and how much time they give you back instantly. So that's where you tend to go, oh my gosh, this doesn't work. I tried it in the corporate world, so then I'll have none of it. But you are just a sufferpreneur until you fall over on your desk in exhaustion.
So I have to ask, what got you here? Why here? Why is this your thing?
That's a really interesting question. So when I started my business 14 plus years ago, when I started out, I was doing market messaging and I was working insane hours. My husband said, I was always stealing from sleep. I was getting up earlier and staying later and later. So I was told about the 2-year mark that I was starting to lose some of my charm. And I was like, oh my gosh, this cannot be, because I was exhausted all the time. And I was like, oh, he's my biggest fan. He supported everything I was doing in the business. This cannot be happening. I cannot be short with him. So I made some changes. I went from literally working 16 hours a day down to 6. Now, this did not happen overnight. This is a whole story on its own. However, to move this story forward, luckily I did, because a couple years after that, my husband was diagnosed with colon cancer, and I was pulled away from the business for about 2 years. When I returned after his passing, my existing clients had no idea of my absence. It was just not how we navigated his journey. We were very positive in nature. And so they started to come to me and say, like, how could you have possibly been away? And if you could do that, maybe you could help us get to our kids' soccer games and start spending time with our friends and family again. And so I started to work with them under that capacity. And I started to realize that the people who needed me most looked good on paper. They were in business 5, 10 years. They were making money. They might have books or podcasts, but they were still working way too many hours for where they are at this point in their journey. And they weren't making the amount of money that they should be making at this point for their accolades. And so that's how it all unfolded with Win the Hour, Win the Day.
You're like me. This is the story. These are the facts, right? But the emotion behind it is most of us go into entrepreneurship, into having our own business because we want to create something, but we want to have the freedom and control over our own world. And it very quickly, to your apt description, becomes the opposite of all of those things. And one of the things that's become so important to me is creating a business that supports my life, not working instead of my life. And I love my business, right? You can still love your business and wear your hard worker badge of honor that is part of our identities, right? And not make your entire world.
I say that,
well, right? You're missing your world.
Yes. And I say that all day, every day. You can have a business that supports your life instead of consuming it. And business should be fun, right? 100%. Or why did we just stay that job we didn't like? But
right.
Yes, have a business and more than that too, Erin, life has interruptions. And you can take the emotion out of that story. And if I had to return to a failing business and then start a job search and try to be charming in an interview and learn a new position, I did not have the bandwidth for that after losing my best friend. Life has interruptions. Parents get sick. Things happen.
That's where I'm at now. I'm schlepping a floor. I would not be able to go to take care of my mother at this extent if I wouldn't have created the business that supports my life.
100%. So things happen. So then you can't be looking at everything else in your life saying, well, you better keep it together because the thing that needs the most oxygen is this.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's a great place to land. I don't know. To me, the money is one thing, the achievement is one thing, but this is why. This is the why behind needing to make these changes so that you could have the flexibility, so you could have your ability to focus where it needs to focus and where it's going to mean the most. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if people want to continue this conversation with you and learn more about how you do this for them, how they can apply all this, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yes, I hang out a lot on LinkedIn, and tell me that you heard me on this fantastic podcast, and we will become fast friends for sure. There are some really cool downloads. There's some good stuff in our free gift, FREEGIFT from Kris, KRIS.com. I put something special in for your listeners, Erin. I put a free version of my book. So you want to grab that quickly because it won't be there long. So yeah, reach out and listen, it's just, it should be easier. It should be easier. There's just a way to have all that you dream to do and have fun while you're doing it.
Love it. We will make sure the links are also in the show notes so that you're just a click away from everybody. Thank you for hanging out with me today. You know, I love chatting with you. This was awesome. And it's so important. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, thank you for trusting me with your audience.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Ready Yet podcast. I truly enjoy bringing these stories of success and inspiration to you. Please join us in our mission to empower entrepreneurs to be in charge of their businesses and in charge of their lives by sharing this with anyone you know who would benefit from our tactical and motivating advice, leaving us a review, and letting us know if there are any particular topics you would really appreciate hearing about. See you next time.